In 2005, when Batman Begins was released, consensus was the film was a much needed shot on not only its franchise but the genres a part of after the disappointing research 2 years of lackluster comic book superhero films and previous songs that killed the franchise for years. Looking back, its influence is clear. The film is definitely a textbook example of how to realize adaptation of an outlandish premise right. It captured what made the original story a work and made a movie that's worked on its own merit, even if people normally aren't fans of source material. This film ended up having something similar done, even though many interesting questions were raised, focusing on a little known spin off video game with the main RPGs or TV show, casting lesser known actors as leads to make the story a neo noir instead of a straight up effect driven sci fi fantasy temple, giving a budget of $150 million to a director and crew that not making movies of this scale, do all this to adapt a medium and IP often dismissed as being little more than forgettable kiddie fare. Yet, by some miracle, oh, the filmmakers managed to pull it off and make a movie that respects its own needs while also being a good movie on its own merits. Given the rocky track record both video game and anime adaptations have had, Super Mario Bros. Anyone? How about Dragon Ball Evolution? What I'm about to tell you is proof that can be done. I'll also give you one warning about, I suppose, both this movie and the Nintendo 3DS video game it's based on. So, with that out of the way, let's open up my spoiler review of the summer's hit 2019 blockbuster movie, Pokemon Detective Pikachu. We open on PCL Labs in the mountains outside Rhyme City. The facility contains Mewtwo right off. This movie already lets you know what you're in for the moment you get to the theater or press the play button. Not counting DTV movies or Fathom's release of newer anime films, this is the first internet franchise to be rated PG, the first to get a wide release in 18 years, the first live action adaptation of any Nintendo game in 26 years. There are some sparks, the lab goes into red alert, like the Enterprise because of power loss. A Mewtwo says they're outside as a car tries to flee the scene. Follows made a pretty freaky rampage. Mewtwo escapes from the lab, similar to the first movie. The film established a darker tone right off as the researchers are killed and the car crashed off in an overpass realistic manner. We then transition to a field in the countryside and introduce Tim Goodman, played by Justice Smith, and his friend Jack, played by Carl and Sony. Right away, the Pokemon in this movie definitely show how the film has made the visuals work in real world context. On top of the Mewtwo rampage, the film uses 54809 and counting Pokemon in some creative setups that put a unique spin on a long running series while not forgetting what made it work to begin with. Anyway, Jack has brought Tim out to catch a Cubone while Tim was reluctant, so I had to give it a go anyway. Before I continue, I will note the Pokeball prop in this scene is actually a cell phone power bank in that shape, with LED lights on the button being replaced by one LED running down the stripe of the ball. Tim takes the ball and starts talking to Cubone. The way he mentions Cubone's skull mask foreshadows Tim's own background. He throws the ball. Well, at first seems he's caught Cubone. The ball might possibly open, but Cubone throws his ball and Tim so hard it causes a small explosion. And after that, we find out Tim is apparently an insurance administrator 21 years old, making both older and older more established in the game. With 17 and pages 7 players his kind of implied traits to. Also, the game is basically a point and click adventure like ones used to play on PC. Maniac Mansion, Day of the Tentacle, and my personal favorite, Full Throttle. The movie takes a different direction, but one that still fits. He then gets a signal on his phone, which he missed finally happened, probably using Boost Mobile or something. He checks his voicemail and finds that something happened to his father, Harry. Getting on the train from Leavetown, see what they did there? He heads to Rhyme City and is greeted by Licky Tom licking him on the train. This takes him in stride, he drives himself off, and this is another moment that establishes a ton of movie wall on how the Pokemon are used. Rather than try and shout away the absurdity, they embrace will also make it work in the context of our world. A video then plays a montage of the train, which is how Clifford played Bill Nye, a character unique to the movie who helped build Rhyme City. There's also a cameo from a Pokemon trainer in a familiar her-looking outfit, played by Ryoma Takeuchi of Kamen Rider Drive. Despite having a degenerative illness that left him wheelchair bound, his wealth and skills not only create a vast array of business deals, but also made Rhyme City a place where Pokemon and people coexist peacefully rather than battle, train best in Pokeballs. I also kind of like how some of the footage videos made it look like it was from the 1990s with his hairstyle, the aspect ratio, and video quality being made to match. Tim steps off a train in Taunty Station, which is London Underground, being worked with special effects for Trade Rhyme City. This shot of Tim walking to Rhyme City police station is a great example of how the approach the filmmakers took to portray the Pokemon world. Though CGI has reached a point that can convincingly work on screen, the movie was actually shot on 35mm film and mainly on location. London for the majority, with some scenes in Scotland and Colorado, and practical sets rather than relying on digital cameras and chroma key. That's similar to how Mad Max Fury Road and all these new Star Wars movies have been made, which I appreciate. On top of this, is by downplaying the reliance on battles, great emphasis is placed on making the scenes seem like a developed world rather than just another cliche live-action cartoonist that countless other adaptations have done. So, seeing people accept a Snorlax sleeping on the side of the road and watching everything as a crossing guard fits this world perfectly. Yeah. Entering RCPDHQ, Tim meets Lieutenant Hideyoshida, played by Ken Watanabe, about his father's disappearance and apparent death. Yoshi also has a snubble, and I guess this is a natural progression from Watanabe in drama films. He's helped train Batman, research Godzilla, and was Samurai transport in the sports car among other roles. On that note, he's a composite of Detective Baker and Inspector Holiday from the game, filling the same role as Harry's former colleague and Tim's mentor as a surrogate father in Rhyme City. After the two talk about Harry and Tim being former Pokemon trainer, Yoshida gives him the key to Harry's apartment. I definitely like the shot of Tim heading the apartment building, since it's full of great little details like Jolte's screen and event Apom climbing on the sign to the apartment building. More on that in a moment. The movie's already established itself as a mix of films like Believe It and Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and Tokyo hadn't appeared yet. In the apartment building, Tim encounters a side up while checking his father's mail, and his partner, CNN intern Lucy Stevens, played by Katherine Newton. Oh boy, it's an immoral trifecta. A lady is new in town, his parents are dead, a love interest happens to be an introvert reporter. On top of being IR April O'Neil, no significant reveal for this movie, she's a big composite of Amelia Mako from the game, combining the former spunk with the latter's investigative reporting skills. Despite relegated online fluff pieces, I can relate. It's definitely a great help to Tim as the movie goes on. There's also a nice outfit Tim is wearing. Be ashamed if something happened to it. Tim goes to his father's apartment, adjusts the TV, was playing the film of Home Alone, and for these souls. Keep the change, you filthy animal. I'll also deal with the potential reboot as it comes, as well as a reversion of an offbeat adult comedy. We then get some flashes when Tim was younger that expand on his past. He's only estranged with his father, but a notable difference from the game. His mother apparently died of an unspecified illness when he was a child. Both of these caused him to turn his back on being a Pokemon trainer. He's been living with his grandmother, played by Josette Simon, ever since. In the game, Tim's mother was insane, but she stayed to be alive and well by his dialogues, providing more support to his father Harry in Rhyme City. Searches for his father's belongings, Tim finds sample art, Amina's case files, and unwittingly poisons the Apom with it as he tries to open the window to air out the place after almost getting a whiff of it. Well, this is the only form of art from the game in the movie. Has to say after bringing out the aggressive traits of Pokemon enhancing their powers. Tim notices some rattling in the kitchen and picks up stable to investigate the source. Tim's movie is now firmly established at this point, as this part 20 is introduced to the teacher Detective Pikachu, voiced by Ryan Reynolds. As Tim was a bit uneasy with the fact that there's a Pikachu that can talk like a person, and must give major props to visual effects artists, rather than turning Goombas knockoff stormtroopers, the network to the original designs, while also giving us something like a work on film. Definitely beats a bunch of juiced up Ninja Turtles or transfer the camera of a jump pile. While in the game, the worst thing the Apom did was steal his jewelry from someone. Here, they all attack Tim and Detective Pikachu, a bunch of crazed, purple-eyed zombies. One of them leaps on Tim's head, others start climbing on his body, causing Detective Pikachu to look for something to throw at them. Maybe a cream juice could work. The two are chased on the roof, with Tim briefly being pulled out of his shoes, dress shirt, and pants, almost ran before it's caught up by the crazed Apom and they escape with a garbage chute. Running into an adjacent alley, with a spit of Tim running around half dressed clear for younger viewers, unless more amused the fact nobody seemed to react to Tim yelling what was happening. They only address Tim when he calls attention to Pikachu. The loud laugh says this as Tim cleans his pants with the Apom. I think of a more brief guy. I don't really wear underwear, I'm not modest. Said alley also has a Charmander, a Telegram that had a Bocce, so he only can understand to Pikachu. Everyone else hears a voice of Ikui Otani. He warns Tim that people might get suspicious about mentioning the stuff he put up his nose. Noticing Harry's name and address written in the tag of Pikachu's hunting cap, The two regroup over coffee at the nearby Hi-Hat Cafe. The occasional game pleased me at Inn. I also like the little touches of the Pikachu's love of coffee, inclusive Pablo, by Alejandro Mesa and the bit part, and Ludicolo acting as a barista. There's also a brief cameo from Jigglypuff, voiced by Rachel Lawless, uncredited. I also like this part of the Pokémon part, it reminds me of the part with Gaff and Noodleshop and Blade Runner. So, there's a story. It does take some clear liberties with the game, the plot thankfully remains the same. Tim is a young man who has come to Rhyme City to search for his father Harry, who went missing, was dead 2 months prior to the film's events. Tim protected Pikachu, two from unlikely bond, to figure out the truth of what happened, and also uncover greater mystery of threatening our Pokemon world. I'm actually glad I started with this one first, as it's just easier to try to condense over 20 years of video game lore and 1,000 episodes of TV into a 104-minute movie. Back at the apartment, Tim and Dr. Pikachu get cleaned up to try to determine their next move. I also like how actual character person TG cards use props in Tim's shelter bedroom. He tries to claim they were set up for visits by Harry, but Pikachu naturally isn't fooled. The next day, after Tim puts on an outfit that's well left for him, including an unknown shirt that had the official replica of he and Detective Pikachu try to determine what happened with the R in Harry's investigation. Before the two leave to start asking about Harry's informant, the movie even spooks a wall of crazies to make up potential clues. Minds are trying to find Pepe Sylvia. After Detective Pikachu's strike situation as Caliente Fiesta, he and Tim decide to go press Lucy what she knows at CNM. Phrasing? At CNM, the news broadcast announcing Pokemon cards in a way with how Clifford and son Roger play with Chris Gear. It's the intro to a Pokemon theme playing in the background music. While the working relationship isn't too bad, the relationship with father and son is strained. Roger sees his father's work with Pokemon have a condition overly frivolous, how this is put off by son's cynicism. Mine's relationship between Norman and Harry Osborn most versions of Spider-Man. On that note, while Gear somewhat resembles Roger's appearance in the game, his character is much more condescending, hearing some traits from our detective Brad. I can at least tell that Gear is enjoying himself. I never watched the show he was on, but he's making a meal out of scenery so I parody his pompous TV persona. Case in point. When Lucy comes over to tell about the incident at PCL Labs, Roger dismisses the idea, telling her to find a source, adding that if it can't be verified, it isn't news. That's more commentary I expect on journalism ethics from this movie, to be honest. Again, I can relate. Tim meets with Lucy about the information, and while it's not exactly the same way played out in the game, the TV station fills the same role, providing vital information about the case. In some ways, kind of reminds me of dynamic in Venom. Young investigator is good, older corporate executive bad. Lucy presents Tim with more samples of R and tells him that Harry's informants at the docks, warning him they're pretty dangerous at night. Tim replies he's pretty good at being alone at night. Hey, phrasing. Detective Pikachu also laments how awkward that sounded, and I gotta say, I'm surprised how naturally the cast plays off each other. Not only do the human actors fit surprisingly well for the setting and tone, the way the Pokemon occupy Rhyme City is seamless. This is vitally important with the emotional center of your story. Least of all, the title character. On that note, he and Tim head to the docks and discover that Mr. Mime is his informant, crashing as they try to get away on a visible bicycle. Mr. Mime, this isn't the time to use that. This scene is notable for several reasons. Not only is Mr. Mime, which was savage not saying a single word in previous versions, such as the main games or Mimey from the anime, but its tone was influenced by all films, David Fincher's Thriller 7. Moreover, when Studio wanted this scene cut initially, director Rob Ludden was able to convince Sunekazu Ishihara himself, president of the Pokemon Company, to keep it since the beginning to keep it in. Sure enough, it's one of the most memorable parts of the movie. Tim actually starts pantomiming matching gasoline to find out where the R is being moved. I am very impressed with how he and all the other Pokemon are so expressive in this movie. Eventually, Mr. Mime does get spooked up by his interrogation to reveal where the only ship R was sent. The picture of Lamps' location is not from the games. Even with the track record her live action video game animators ahead, I'm okay with changing things if the changes make sense with a new medium. I've beaten the game at least twice, planning a third playthrough on Nintendo Switch, which I've taken many hours depending on how much I want to spend finding all of the secret unique cutscenes. The location is an underground battle arena known as the Roundhouse. Has this club introduced you to Pokemon battles in the city underbelly of Vime City? 2 words. Beatboxing Loudred. Yeah. I mean, when I heard this movie was going to render its Pokemon in realistic CGI, I was expecting something like how it looked in Super Smash Bros. Or Pokemon Tournament, but they went all out with it. There's also a small appearance from Diplo as a DJ slash fight MC. I don't listen to him, but I imagine all this will be remembered in 20 years, same way the campy OST from the first movie is now. The investigation draws the attention of the Venus head, Sebastian playing Omar Chaparro, which had run on Detective Pikachu before, along with a Charizard. The investigation draws the attention of a mysterious woman with pink hair named Miss Norman, played with Suki Waterhouse non-speaking role. Sebastian shows how last time Pikachu was there, the encounter damaged his coat and scarred his Charizard. While some people were put off by how Charizard was rendered in this movie, it's actually not that different how other movies like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings have rendered their dragons and other creatures. Personally, I think it looks pretty badass. Now comes probably my favorite part of the movie, the roundhouse fight. Sebastian says that he will tell Tim what he knows about the art and what happened to Harry on the condition that his Pikachu wins a match with his Charizard. He grudgingly agrees. To fit his Pikachu hands Tim's hat for safekeeping. Big CGI fight coming up. As the doors to the arena are locked, Sebastian doses his Charizard with the use with the R. As Pikachu realizes this won't be as easy as before. While Tim does give recommendations from his move pool, Pikachu replies that due to his accident with Harry, not only does not remember his past, doesn't remember his attacks either. It's similar to how it was in the game, but the movie plays with it in ways that only makes it one of my favorite experiences in theater I've had this year. As Pikachu realizes a danger at hand, he shouts at Tim when I quote, "Get me the hell out of here." Guess as expected when you cast the same guy as Deadpool in the title role. I just don't mind it within reason. It kind of reminds me of 96 Transformers movie in 1990 TMNT movie in that context. What follows is actually a pretty creative way of handling Pokemon's live action. The way both Pikachu and Tim rely on both their wit and other skills to win actually does a pretty good job paying attention to both the 3DS game and series as a whole. The way this fight is staged is like a mix of the Vanquish in Return of the Jedi, the Bonesaw fight in the first Spider-Man, the Hulk vs. Thor life for Ragnarok. I must also compliment the crew everyone put together to help get this movie. Production designer Andrew Phelps, a one-name nominated cinematographer John Matheson, and the two editors of James Thomas and Mark Sanger. When these other crew members' credentials, that alone tells us that they weren't just looking for who they would get, they were looking for someone who they knew was good to get this on screen. Music by Henry Jackman also does a great job of capturing the series' sounds of orchestral music, electronic music, and drawing rock. Case in point, when Tim starts trying to stop another flame on Charizard's tail, beatboxing larger than before, start going nuts when the vials of orange Sebastian's card are broken. Sebastian starts yelling like a screaming banshee. Again, I'm not familiar with Omar Chaparro, but he must know for what movie he signed up for when he did that. As Arena starts turning into more madhouse than before, Tim, as a victor, is able to get the location of the art's source. A doctor PC allows to know more, but it's still a matter of the rampaging Charizard juiced up on R. Noise will allow to know the Pokemon rampaging broken aquarium with a Magikarp is able to Gyarados to sheer will. Very impressed with how expressive CGI Pokemon are in this movie. The moment Charizard starts showing up on the R is also someone when it knows it's lost a battle, as if to say, "Oh man, this is gonna hurt." After a misunderstanding with the RCPD, Yoshida shows Tim security footage of the crash before Harry disappeared. He also tries to talk Tim through his grief, but Tim will have none of it. After that, Tim realizes in order to really get close to what happened to Harry, he says that Pikachu need each other. Even moments in this movie are not laughing, which are rare. Invest in other ways they made the story work. As the two vows solve its mystery, I'm also impressed at how much emotional weight they're given to Electric Mouse in this supporting cast member from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Then, the two are accosted by Miss Norman, whose black SUV is immediately referred to as a bad guy car to protect Pikachu. Of course, he'd definitely be savvy enough to know that. On top of being voiced by the same actor as Deadpool, putting family screen spin on the role in the process, the script does a good job of poking fun at conventions of the genre if you're not familiar with noir detective stories. Miss Norman is an aide to Clifford's CNM, leading Tim and Pikachu in Howard's office. One of the sites here are an array of evolutionary stones and some statues of Dialga, Palkia, and Arceus. Insert signal confirm joke slash reference here. There's once again how competent how the visual effects artists did a really good job with this movie. The way Eevee touches a firestone transforms a Flareon while cloaked in a bright light is right on the mark. On that note, Bill Nye's performance in this movie has a different approach from Howard's character than used to for Roger. Even in a movie full of interactive holograms shapeshifting Ditto, which will be important later by the way, he reads his lines in surprisingly dramatic and serious fashion like any professional would. Though this scene does foreshadow his true intentions later on, he is committed to his credit as Howard tells Tim that Harry was trying to solve a mystery for him. Just a picture of Lamp says this. So I'm reckon that's a twist. It's very twisty. Howard then shows Tim and Detective Pikachu a hologram of the crash footage, which reveals more details to help the case. On top of a brief glimpse of Harry, we get the reason why Detective Pikachu has no memory of what happened. His mind was wiped by Mewtwo, voiced by Rina Hoshino and Kotaro Watanabe. I definitely like this approach. It's not a matter of the game, the mystery still unveils more what happened, while also revealing a larger mystery at hand. Definitely makes more sense than how Alita adapted its story. After entrusting Tim and Detective Pikachu to find out what happened, the two meet back up with Lucy at the Hi-Hat Cafe. Since Roger snubbed Lucy's tip earlier, she decides to give the information to Tim and Detective Pikachu instead. This ends up corroborating the incident at PCL Labs. All of them decide to go check out the laboratory in the mountains the next day. As many others have been, I am very amused by this whole scene of Detective Pikachu riding a booster seat in Lucy's car, as well as the foot massage and spa music to help prevent a headache from Psyduck. Breaking the laboratory as it's been condemned is revealed the reason why Roger dismissed Lucy's story idea. It was actually one of the finding and CEO responsible for the creation of the art and the capture of Mewtwo. So, next key is to find out what happened and what Clever covered up in the lab. Another key figure in this incident is Dr. Alan Laurent, played by singer/actress Rita Ora in a bit parts, was part of the experiments night of the accidents. As they discover some Greninja and Torterra that part of the experiments, Lucy starts getting some pictures of the lab while Tim and Detective Pikachu discover the site of the breakout. Outside, what appears to be Roger uses some controls in his briefcase to tie up some loose ends while Tim and Detective Pikachu start programs out the computer Dr. Laurent's workstation to find out the exact details of the incident. One brief thing before I continue, I definitely like little details of Psyduck's pupils dilating and the Greninja emerging with the stasis pod as doors open. The way the scene is filmed and cued creates the idea of what happens next. While some of the files are corrupted, none of them are intact to confirm the information about Dr. Laurent's experiments, it'll be another one about a device with no link. Why? It's a new Nintendo Brain Switch. Type of other properties allows you to replay your favorite video games plugging directly into the base of your spine. All joking aside, Tim and Detective Pikachu continue searching for more information about the incident 2 months before Mewtwo's escape. Latter is able to find Dr. Laurent's video diaries from the beginning, which supposedly state that Mewtwo escaped from cancer nearly 20 years ago. There are many parallels with the first movie, and this is one of the more notable ones. Creators even expressed interest in doing a full Mewtwo Strikes Back adaptation live action, which actually intrigued us even try. Now, Tim and Lucy need to get back to Rhyme City, never know what's going on, but first need to escape in the lab. Follows is another great action scene set around the Greninja Torterra. Both species that suit the sequence alarmingly well. Not only do the designs look great on film, I actually like how the scene alludes to the monsters doing the more absurd things doing the Pokedex. Not just what Greninja's water stroke can be able to shatter glass, but Psyduck's explosive headaches just steal the show. As the effects experiments on Terra start to take hold, making the massive beasts the size of mountains, I must say, on top of being a good template for a Big Budget Gamma reboot, it's still being want to play Golden next to that game for the umpteenth time. Everyone starts climbing and jumping around as the landscape starts shifting around them. Detective Pikachu quips, "At this point, how can you not believe in climate change?" You and me both, Detective Pikachu. It's basically the same as not believing in oxygen at this point. They're able to clear the gap back to the city, but Pikachu is injured at a rock slide. This is close to being his Mega, but some Bulbasaur are able to lead everyone to a force of healing. There's marginal views from Comfrey and Morlul filling in the background. I could just say this movie has some of the biggest visual effects we used since Jurassic Park. Naturally, this inspires me in Smash Bros. Even before the film came out. The sound design in this movie is also something we mean to compliment. On top of Reynolds' performance, while some Pokemon say their namesake on the TV show, others have arrangement with their cries in the games. I think that's actually a pretty good compromise. Mewtwo then heals Pikachu's wounds, as well as stores his memory right before Mewtwo is captured by the true villains of the movie. Not only did Pikachu help Mewtwo escape, but the two of them realize they need to split up in order to stop them. This final add to the Pokemon Carnival's parade has the same general idea as the final chapter of the game, but takes a different direction to make work with the movie story. While Pikachu takes a long way back, Chimay is back with Lucy and decides to let everyone know what's going on. On the game, there are only a few areas and clock towers to search for clues. The movie makes use of nearly the whole city. Artistically, it blends the European architecture of London, a sort of neon left Far East aesthetic, and the vein of Gotham City Batman Forever, in a good way. While Tim goes to warn Howard about what's going on, Lucy decides to alert the public while slipping into the code of fellow CNN reporter Cynthia McMaster, played by uncredited Abby Murphy. Pikachu's also singing a somber yet strangely humorous rendition of the Pokemon theme. Yeah. Making his way back to Rhyme City, Pikachu finds a crash site and what's left of the water shuriken that Greninja launched. This also confirms the opening car crash wasn't just an accident, it was an assassination attempt. On the game, the plane just cut to black and hinted at that idea. Yeah, it's surprisingly dark. Not quite as dark as the December 16, 1991 plot thread in Captain America Civil War, but it fits what they're going for. Also, I like how it's a subtle nod to Greninja's initial reveal in Super Smash Bros. 3DS and Wii U. Yeah. Pikachu realizes what Mewtwo was actually trying to do and that Tim is in danger. Back in Rhyme City, Tim was also in the secret danger and decides to confront Howard. However, Howard anticipated this and already has a new link on. Dosing Mewtwo a copious amounts of Howard transfers his mind to Mewtwo's body. On top of Mewtwo's height from the Pokédex of 6'7" being accurate, using Tim as a yardstick, the whole final battle is going to be insane, much like how Howard has become. I love it and this movie for that. He's a true villain of the movie, playing all the angles and conditions up front with his real plan to fuse everyone with the bodies of Pokemon. I'd never given much thought to before, but my Pokédex I know will probably be my favorite, Lucario. Trapping Tim in his office, Howard uses Mewtwo and a bunch of art hidden in the parade balloons to his plan in motion. While the winners people destroy the Pokemon, they do at least notice Mewtwo starts causing havoc at the Pokemon Carnival, bringing all the Pokemon and their partners merge to one. Pikachu reaches the city, just everything starts going crazy, remarking dryly that this really blows his bridge discovery out of the water. Climbing on top of the balloons, he engages newly restored powers, shouting, "Game on!" He then starts bouncing on top of the balloons and off the other flying Pokemon, jumping weirdly with Mewtwo's attacks. Just about the Pokemon floats stage in Super Smash Bros. Melee. Hopefully it comes back as DLC Ultimate. Still working on a stage creator feature. As Pikachu engages Mewtwo, Tim reaches for his bonds and notices someone banging inside a nearby cabinet. He opens to find Roger, the villain of the game, the supposed secondary villain of this film, bound and gagged. His role and his form have been assumed by Miss Norman, who is actually his Ditto that's turned on him. While Ditto's eyes are slightly obvious CGI, the way they see the scene each form shapes into is necessarily not how it's recently changed in other versions of the series. While the battle rages, Tim realizes he needs to move Howard's new link to Mewtwo as he and Roger clash with Ditto to enhance Howard's experiments. Pikachu also continues clashing with Mewtwo outside, putting up an impressive fight against the fusion experiment. Not bad for adapting about is basically a quick time event sequence of the game. Though Pikachu is nearly down by the recoil from his roll tackle, he tells Mewtwo that he wasn't trying to win, he was trying to distract Howard. Yes, folks, much like how Judge Doom was done by his own dip, Ditto and Howard end up getting bested by their own R. The two are dosed with so much that destabilizes Mewtwo and Ditto, allows Tando Mew move Howard's new links to Mewtwo. Tim Goodman wins. Fatality. Mewtwo is able to save Pikachu from falling, and as Howard is taken away by the authorities, presumably to the ward or at very least a white-collar resort prison, Roger sheepishly gives Lucy his false position and agrees to undo the damage his father has wrought. Likewise, Mewtwo has been convinced of out of human life by Pikachu, and to make up for previous slights, Mewtwo declares, "I will undo what has been done." This does make me wonder what they've got in mind with the planned sequels and spin-offs, and I'll explain more in a moment. We close on what's arguably the biggest difference for the game. When the end of that does reveal that Harry's still alive, there aren't any suspects beyond invoking, and the adventure continues. Looking forward to the sequel on Nintendo Switch. Here, Harry reunites with Tim, and the two are at last together. He's even played by none other than Ryan Reynolds himself. I do like the movie has the foresight to be so contained like this, and the credits wrote a really good arrangement. The original Pokemon Actors U music, the others even done Mackenzie Williams style. Even the credits are interesting and on to the movie itself. As for the songs Carry On with Your Aura and Electricity, again, I think it'll be remembered the same way as the first movie's OST in another 20 years. It took 26 years for them to make a good live action movie about a beloved anime video game franchise, and even with my lofty expectations as a longtime fan, Pokemon's Detective Pikachu is a great first live action into franchise. Whether or not propose sequels and spin offs to existing material or write new stories, I welcome the idea. The first in development from the writers of 22 Jump Street. As I pointed out before, it took years, if not decades, sifting through lousy movies based on American superhero comic books before we got ones that go consistently. I am definitely open to the idea of adapting the main game's anime along these lines. With the proposed live action Red Blue adaptation and Mewtwo Strikes Back remake, hopefully they'll make it work. My ideal pitch for a film set in the Kanto era would be Stand By Me meets Star Wars New Hope by way of the Lost Ark by Marvel's Cinematic Universe. I also wouldn't mind some of the visual side of this movie and to embrace the insanity of the plot and colorblind casting of human characters. One last thing. Drop the red and blue, just call the standalone adaptation Pokemon. One word is much easier to fit on the title than on theater marquee, store shelf, or streaming list. That will be all for now. Later.